Are you on your own or close to it? Do you want to be frugal? I got you. Stick around for 12 tips, including some from you, the viewers, and don't miss one of my favorite quotes that I've ever found. Let's do this. Welcome, I'm Amy, and here at the Frugal Diaries, I give you tips and tools for frugal living, including this part 2 of a very popular video that you guys loved from a few months ago on frugal living tips for one person. You had lots to say in the comments. I have done some more research. I have changed my household size, and I have so much to share with you, so let's get going. Number 1, make and live by a financial plan. So often, financial plans and planning in general is marketed at people who have families to take care of, people who have large households, people who have lots of things going on in their lives that involve lots of moving parts. Just because you're one person doesn't mean you also don't need a financial plan, doesn't mean that you don't have lots of moving parts in your life. And in fact, the buck stops with you. You are the only person who can make and run your financial life. There's nobody else in the household who can take it on. It's really your responsibility. But it also means that you get to plan your financial life in the way that works best for you. You may still have multi-generational people in your family that you have to consider. You may have a business that you're taking care of, or you may just have your retirement that's looming that you need to think about. But whatever it is that's your priority, it's your priority. So take the time to manage your finances in a way that really works for you right now in the short term, in a little bit longer in the medium term, and then looking way far ahead to the future. You can do this. I always recommend that you use a budget for this, and I love You Need a Budget. But whatever it is that you are using, make sure that you have a financial plan. I work on my financial plan at least once a week, if not every day a little bit, and I find that taking care of it little by little really helps. What's your favorite way to plan your financial life? Tell me about it below in the comments. Number 2, buy your groceries with meals in mind. This comes to us from Stephen Cox of the YouTube channel Stephen Cox Bass, who makes a living as a musician and loves to talk about frugal living as well. Thank you, Stephen, for this wonderful tip. In other words, don't just go to the store and buy things hoping for the best. Instead, buy things thinking about what meals you're actually going to eat based on what you buy. Now, this might seem like a really basic thing to think about, but it's important to remind ourselves that we are people who like to eat what we like to eat. And if you do your grocery shopping according to what you actually eat, you will be more frugal than if you just buy random stuff because it looked good or because it was on sale or because of some holiday that you felt obligated to buy a certain thing for and then you never used it. Instead, think about what you will actually eat and do your grocery shopping accordingly. I have a video that I'd love for you to watch about frugal grocery shopping tips that I think will help along this line. And this leads us to tip number 3, which comes to us from Jeffrey McDonald, who said, cook what you like. Now, I love this because I love to cook and I love to eat and I know what I like. So if I have shopped according to Stephen's rule and I've bought things according to the meals and then I'm going to follow Jeffrey's rule and cook what I like, I'm going to be a happy person in the kitchen, and I recommend that you do the same. I've recently been doing quite a bit of cooking because my part of the world includes a holiday called Thanksgiving this time of year. Some of you have been celebrating it, some of you don't have any idea what it is, but it's basically where you cook a whole lot of food that you really like and you serve it with family and friends. And we have been having the best time making turkey, making stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, pie, all of my favorites. And I've definitely been cooking what I like. And so I'm giving myself an A for following Jeffrey McDonald's rule of cooking what you like. How are you doing this week? Have you cooked something that you like? Tip number 4 comes to us from the Reverend Ruth Gallot, who said, stop stockpiling. Ruth discovered that when she became a household of one, that having a large stockpile of foods was not useful to her anymore. And I have discovered the same thing. I want to show you, I'm still working my way through some of the stockpiling that I did at the beginning of the pandemic, including a stash of beans, some harina pan for making arepas, which is a Venezuelan flatbread, and some maseca to make tortillas. I have lots of these things that I still need to get through. Now, I would not have considered this a large stockpile when I had more people living in the house and when it looked like we weren't going to be able to go grocery shopping regularly for a very long time. But now it seems like a big stockpile, and for such a small household, what I have up there is gonna last me months and months and months. And so stopping stockpiling doesn't mean that you don't stock up your pantry. It just means that you use smaller amounts. Reverend Ruth then brought us tip number 5, which is to downsize. Downsize the stockpile, as I have done. Downsize your house. We have had a lot of people talk about going from a large house to a small house, or even a tiny house or a cottage. This really depends on your priorities, and I'm going to give this one over to Goldie, whose frugal diary for the day is to downsize to the exact right size that you need. If you are a big old dog, you probably need a comfortable spot, but you don't need a big spot. Maybe you need a spot that's just right for you and for some visiting friends and maybe some visiting grandkids. But maybe you don't need anymore such a big space to take care of and such a big space to clean. Maybe you want more time for naps. So whether your name is Goldie or Reverend Ruth, think about downsizing. And this leads us to our next tip. This tip came to us straight from several viewers. I couldn't really pick anybody out who said that they downsized their appliances. I will tell you that I have not yet followed that excellent example, but I would like to. I have this enormous stove and oven combination, and quite frankly, I use the oven a lot. The stove, as you can see, has 2 burners out, and I wish that I could downsize it. I'm not really in a situation to do that just yet. But there are folks here on the channel who have downsized from this monster to something that's a small countertop oven that saves space, that leaves the room for appliances. Kathy Fitzpatrick, for instance, pointed out that removing this giant oven and replacing it with something smaller that sat on the counter meant she had room for a small water-efficient dishwasher. So this is a matter of thinking about what works best for you and not just going with what is told to us is the right size appliance for your kitchen. So maybe downsize your appliances. If you're getting value out of this video, would you give it a like and consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you'll get notified first of new videos? And if you'd like to contribute to the growth of the channel, click the link below for Buy Me a Coffee, where you can make a one-time contribution or become a monthly member. Let's keep talking about these wonderful tips. For number 7, let's go back into my kitchen. Limit your spending on things that hurt your brain. You can see in the background an example. I always keep a little bit of booze around, even though I don't drink, because I use it to soak my fruits in to make Christmas cake. In fact, stay tuned. I'm going to show you some footage when I actually make that. One Christmas, I actually carried a whole suitcase full of German Christmas bread, my family's recipe, to take as Christmas gifts, and I think that I might be doing that again this year, so stay tuned. But if you're thinking about what to do about things that hurt your brain, you're thinking about neurotoxins like alcohol, drugs, at least certain drugs, and nicotine. This is a bit of an iffy subject because some of us take medications that we really need in order to keep ourselves alive, but they also have side effects that kind of damage our brains a little bit. So I would like to ask you to use your sort of subtlety and nuance and think about what are you doing that might be hurting your brain cells, and can you do less of that? That will help you to think more clearly so you can see above under number 1 and make your financial plan work better for you. It'll also keep you more frugal because you won't be spending as much money, and it might help with your health. You never know. So take care of that brain of yours. For number 8, we're back here at my desk because I want to talk about reading about frugal living, reading about finances. One of my favorite authors who's written about personal finance in the modern era is Helene Olin, who wrote 2 books, one called Pound Foolish. She wrote Pound Foolish 10 years ago when we were all coming out of the last Great Recession. And I would love to see an update including information about the pandemic, but she hasn't come out with that yet. I still recommend Pound Foolish because it talks about the financial industry and how it often can have a negative impact on our personal lives, but then what we can do to make our financial lives work for us. She also worked together with Harold Pollack to create a book called The Index Card, which is a simple way of thinking about managing your finances. And I recommend those 2 books, even though again, they're a little bit older, so that you can learn to understand finance, particularly if you live in the United States, and also so that you can learn how to manage your finances in a simple way. I also always love anything Ramit Sethi does. Ramit Sethi really aims his message at millennials, so people a little bit younger than some of us, but I know some of you are millennials, and I actually loved his book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which is a very cheeky title, and when he describes the process of learning to be rich, it's a really wonderful, practical financial plan that you can use at any age of your life, and he has such a sarcastic sense of humor that it really keeps everything running along. And I felt like I was reading a page turner when I read his book. So if you haven't tried Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich, check it out from your public library or get yourself a copy of your own. It's come out in a couple of different editions and either one will be fine. Read about personal finance so that you can feel empowered, so that you can feel connected to people who do this stuff all the time, and so you can plan for the future. For number 9, Auntie Antipoda said, make things. Auntie Antipoda described making everything from laundry detergent to shampoo to lotion. I think this sounds like a wonderful project. And as you folks know, I love to make my own favorite cleaner. I have a bottle that I used once as purchased, and now I fill it half full of vinegar, half full of water, and put in a few squirts of dish soap. And that's what I make. I think Auntie Antipoda would say, that's basic, you can make anything. And that's probably true. What do you like to make that you use around your household? For the next step, we've come back to my bathroom where I have to confess that I haven't made much progress since the last time I showed you my bathroom, which was a while ago. But this tip is gonna help me. This tip says, learn new things free online. Here's what I need to learn. I have purchased towel bars. I have a space for towel bars, and I have purchased a drill, still in its box, to put the towel bars up. I've also taken off the old whatever these are and bought new ones of whatever these are so I can put them on. So this is a brilliant tip, and I look forward to putting it into action, and I'm gonna ask you folks to hold me accountable on it. Keep asking me in the comments, have you put up your towel bars yet? Have you put up your towel bars yet? Hopefully, at least by the new year when I get back from my travels, I'll be able to say, yes, I learned something new online and it was free and I took care of it myself. For number 11, we're gonna go out to my garage where I'm going to show you my fitness equipment. Ta-da! Don't you love it? Now my point here was not to be sarcastic or even cheeky, but to say focus on fitness without believing that you have to focus on a high price point. It's possible that you'll get the best deal by going to a gym or by hiring a personal trainer. There are people who really benefit from those activities. There's also group classes that you can take, but focus on what you need to do to become fit in the most positive way. Our world today does not have a great relationship with fitness. We associate fitness with a certain body size and a certain body type, and this is deeply unhealthy. And I want you to focus on what fitness means to you. What activities do you want to be able to do every day so that you can feel your healthiest? What level of energy would you like to have so that you can feel your best? And what level of fitness really works for you? Not every one of us is an Olympic athlete. Not every one of us has the level of health that allows us to look like the people in all of the YouTube ads that we see. But whether you do like I do and you take a walk every day or almost every day, or whether you join a gym because that is really the best use of your time and money, focus on taking care of your health and your fitness in the best way possible for you. This leads us to number 12, which is almost a little bonus, and that is to ride a bike. I confess that as a person who lives in a part of the world where bike riding is not very common and not particularly safe, I forget about this one. But many of you live in places where you can bike everywhere just as part of your daily life. Others of you live in places where that's a little trickier, but you could bike around the neighborhood or go biking for fun or for enjoyment. And a lot of you have talked about this in the comments in previous videos, talking about how much money you save and what a better life you have as a solo person when you ride a bike everywhere that you can. So I'd love to hear from those of you who live in other parts of the world, particularly if you're out on your own and making your own way through the world. How do you feel about riding a bike? Are you as excited about it as I am? Would you like to live somewhere where you can ride a bike? Let's give it a try. So we're out here on our own. We're living our best lives and we want to be frugal and we want to be joyful. Mae West, the incomparable movie actress, said it best when she said, "You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." Whether you are feeling lonely on your own or whether you love it, I want you to know that you are not truly alone, and I am so proud of you. Take the next step, whatever the next step is on your frugal journey, and we will do it together. Live frugally, change your life, and together we will change the world. I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye.